The trailer for Joker 2 has landed, and everyone is talking about it, rightly so, because the first movie, released in 2019 with Joaquin Phoenix, was one of the most memorable movies of that year and landed Joaquin his Oscar. But this time we have Lady Gaga and Joaquin together to give us the story of Harley Quinn and Joker and their love, and everyone is really excited about it. But there was one particular point that everyone is raising, and that is the fact that there may be 15 cover songs in this movie, making it somehow a musical. And people have an issue with it. So today we're going to talk about this, because this is not the first time that a major production is trying to battle the negative comments that are coming with the fact that this may have some elements of musical in it. Even Mean Girls, which we know is a musical, they try to hide the fact that it's a musical in the trailer, and obviously it backlashed. I do think that these kind of comments are very much outdated and rooted in kind of 5 common reasons why people dislike musicals, which I don't think are really correct. What do you think though? Let me know in the comments. Number 1, I do think that people almost perceive musicals as some sort of subgenre. Musicals are an art form, and it's silly to say that you don't like musicals as a whole. That's like someone says, I don't like books as a whole. I don't like movies as a whole. It's excluding the whole category of creative expression. And like any art form, you have great musicals, average, bad. I love musicals, but I don't like every single musical. I don't resonate with every single musical. And that's true with every other art form. You don't like every movie, every book that you read. So I think that we need to really assess musicals as for what they are, a way to creatively express story, to deliver an emotion, to make people engage with something. And I think that is what we need to assess, not what art form it's taking. The second thing is that people think that musicals are only suited for a certain type of story, maybe Disney or something happy or a romance, but that is not necessarily true. It is all about the way in which music and dance and singing is incorporated in the story. Yes, Joker is a story about a villain, it's a story about a troubled mind, a troubled person, and Harley Quinn and Joker together are very hard to think of as a perfect couple in a musical, but that is just because we have this preconception of musicals being Disney-like fantasy movies. Ultimately, musicals are about connection, about music, about the story, and I'm so intrigued actually to see how this has been weaved into the narrative, because music is something that really helps people heal, that connects people, and there are so many reasons why actually music and musical type of expression in this movie can really help these characters uncover some new elements of their existence and connection. So why are we just like straight away dismissing that this is the right story for a musical? If it's told well, I think any story is the right story for the musical. But let me know if you disagree. This might be a controversial one, but I do think that a lot of people who dislike musicals, they haven't seen many, or in some cases, any musicals. And I'm not saying this because I just think that's the case. I've spoken to quite a few people who don't like musicals, who are my friends or acquaintances, and they just say that they just never went to see musicals because they just don't think that's something that they like. And I really don't think that you can judge something if you haven't seen it, if you haven't experienced it. Obviously, you need to give it a few shots and find a musical that resonates with you and just acquaint yourself with the art form, and maybe you will like it. And if you don't like it, that's also fine, but at least you know that you have tried. The fourth biggest argument against musicals is that it is unnatural for characters to break into a song or a dance, and it just like breaks that connection between you and the character when they do that, because people simply don't do that in real life. And this boils down to the execution. As mentioned in my first point, if this is a well executed musical element of the movie, then it's gonna feel so natural, it's gonna flow, it's gonna add to the story, it's gonna add to the character, to the emotion, to the connection ultimately. Because I think when it flows well, it's just like part of the story, and it just feels nice to watch it. It doesn't feel like something has been interrupted. And as long as it adds value to the character's arc, to the storyline, to the emotion that they're trying to convey, then I'm sold. Like, if it flows, it flows. Like, I don't need to think about putting it in a certain box. Is it a musical or not? I frankly don't care. A good story is a good story. And this brings me to my fifth point, and that is that people are kind of not really open-minded about the blends of different art forms. And I think even when a musician or an artist or a movie maker switches from one genre to the other genre, that's news. And that's the reason why it doesn't surprise me that people simply are not open-minded to musicals. And I'm just saying, let's just go with the flow, enjoy what you're seeing. If you're enjoying it, great. It doesn't matter what genre it is. And it's amazing that we have so many different media channels to do it with, and that we as humans are also so versatile in the way that we see creativity. So all of this just like adds to the beauty of this movie. If there are those musical theater elements, I think it's great that there is an exploration and there is like an open-mindedness to bringing this musical element into what seemingly is an unlikely story for a musical. I do think if a big production house is working on a musical, then just own up to it and say that you're doing a musical. And if you want to appeal to other audiences, I think it's a better way to appeal to those audiences by being just a remarkable musical that people who don't tend to like musicals are going to see it, rather than just like trying to lure them in and trick them into seeing a musical. I think there's nothing to be ashamed of if you're a creator who is incorporating musical theater elements or who is doing a musical. It's an amazing art form, so let's just own it and like change this narrative of musicals being something that people just simply don't like. And on that note, there are amazing shows that you can see in 2024 on the West End, so check out this video if you're looking for some musical theater inspiration.